everybody. Welcome to the Cleaner Cast, live on YouTube every Friday, 6 p.m. Central Time. We are here with another good episode on the way. The original OG Canadian Cohort is back in the flesh, so it's going to be exciting indeed. And we got the legendary David Patterson on from Oberk Car Care. Going to give it a minute, let everybody roll in. But as you people know, that our current listeners, we need more people to listen. So go on over to your favorite podcast platform on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Drop me a subscribe, rate, and review. 5 stars, people. It's going to push us up the charts, get more ears on us, more listeners. We'll keep this thing going. Got some comments rolling in. Texas DD here. Ooh, G. Davis was here early. Hello, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. So while we're waiting, I got some new podcast reviews, but let's go ahead and get the Canadian Cohort himself in here. I want to see some emojis going. Standing ovation in the chat room as we introduce Mr. Bucky VW, Alex Dewar. How's it going, Mr. Dewar?
Hello, everybody. Let me adjust my angle a little bit. I'm back. Nothing bad happened. I had a very good reason for being away, which we'll get into in a minute. But
yes,
yeah, I hope the other. I can't believe you got another super popular Canadian on last week. That was pretty special. So
I hope that we had Rick. Yep.
Hope whoever tuned into that one enjoyed it.
And it was definitely a good one.
Yep. So
you missed out. It was a heck of a time.
Yep. Certainly sounded like it. So. But
indeed,
I will be honest.
Almost got replaced.
Yeah, I
almost had to hire Rick full time.
Yeah, I will be honest. I do have to watch that episode because I haven't got to it yet. But I'll get to it. It's on my list.
Go give it a listen. Yeah, you would have been replaced, but Rick was muted halfway through the whole episode. So if Rick knew how to work a mute button, you'd be gone. I mean, we'd have to replace you right then and there. But Rick can't figure out that mute button. G. Davis with Alex is the Liam Hemsworth of detailing.
I appreciate that, G.
Hello, everybody. Humberto's in the house. Mike's Auto Detailing in the house as well. And speaking of Mike, we had to get talk. I jumped on Mike's podcast or his live show a couple weeks ago with today's guest, David Patterson from Oberk Car Care, and it was such a great conversation. Mr. Patterson was dropping so much knowledge. We just had to get him on the Cleaner Cast, keep it going. Yeah. Oberk seems to be rolling as of late. A lot of new products coming out and all that good stuff. So we had to get him on again. So it's going to be a heck of a show, people. Before we get to that, Alex, how did your car club, though? Let's not forget this. Why were you gone last weekend?
So last weekend, kind of later in the week, going into the weekend, our car club has an event. It's called Street Machine Weekend, and the car club is the Street Wheelers Car Club. So this was our 44th year of doing this weekend. So what it is it's a multiple day thing, which
hello, Mr. Patterson. You're on live now.
There he is. He's online.
Heck of an intro.
So our car club, it's technically a 4-day event. So on Thursday night, we do a big drive-in. So all the classic cars come and kind of sit and have a meet and greet. And then we watch the movie when it gets dark enough. And then on Friday, we used to have an organized cruise where we would shut down the road and let a bunch of cars in. But now we just kind of have it as a free-for-all. So the city is literally taken over with vehicles of every area you can think of, which is super cool. And then on Saturday, we have a drag racing event where it's a pretty unique event. It's called the 100-foot dash. So basically it's a launch competition more than anything, but still super cool. We have about 3,500 to 5,000 people in the stands to watch it for 6 hours in a day. And then on Sunday, we have a big car show where we just, there's this big park right downtown, and we have about 600 cars in the park that we have on display. Everything from, a super kind of beat up import or domestic, whatever your flavor is, to $500,000 restoration projects. So it's a super cool time. It's a ton of work, and it's that's why I wasn't here. So to make a short story long,
Yep.
that's why I wasn't here.
All good, all good.
But now we'll do the big intro of the man of the hour, Mr. David
Right,
Patterson.
I kind of botched that for sure. I guess I should have brought him on a minute ago when we were rolling, but I remembered we got to hear the story. And I get rusty.
1 week and you lose your structure.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Mr. David Patterson from Oberk Car Care is here to drop some more knowledge. Tell us about his journey to Oberk Car Care and what Oberk's got going on lately. So, Mr. Patterson, can you give us a short little intro of your position with Oberk Car Care? And I have here kind of from Lake Country to Oberk. Just give us the journey you've been through in the detailing industry. You can abridge it if you'd like as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I started earlier when I went to school for collision repair, paint, auto body. Started getting into jobs in the collision repair world and, entry level stuff. So when you start off in the body shop, you sand a lot of primer and sand a lot of clear coat. You do all the stuff that nobody else wants to do, and the less skilled labor when it comes to generalized collision. And during that time, I kind of decided to take a job as a mechanic wrenching on cars instead, because one of the guys that I went to school with was a service manager for a shop. And he's like, oh, yeah, you should just come over here. I was never a professional mechanic. I didn't go to school or do any tech college or anything like that to actually work on cars. I just always worked on my own stuff. And I worked with a shop of a lot of guys that taught me a ton of stuff and had fun while I was doing that. And I made some good money, but things had changed. And at the same time, I had a buddy who was detailing cars at a Honda dealership. They were really high volume, and he was making a ton of money. And I had kind of taught him how to buff cars because they never had to polish anything. So I taught him how to polish cars. He taught me how to detail cars, and that was the first time I kind of got into the detailing itself, and ended up opening up a detail shop and doing that for a few years. But I'm relatively local to Lake Country manufacturing. And at a certain point, they were hiring for a sales position. And the same person that actually got me into the repair business, who was in my collision repair program, was the same person that introduced me to Lake Country. And I ended up taking on a sales role there without really any sales experience, but I knew how to use their products a lot. So I was able to, essentially do technical sales, sell products off of like real world experience and things like that. And Lake Country has grown a lot. I was there for 8 years. So I started back in 2013, I think, working for them. And they were already a relatively larger company in the industry, and they've kind of continued to grow, but you kind of wear a lot of hats in smaller businesses in general. And I started doing a lot more product development and working with the vice president, who does, he's an engineer essentially. And so I kind of refer to myself as the backyard engineer. Not too far different from being the mechanic, but relatively uneducated, but had the technical application side going on. And I was kind of able to bridge the gap between people that knew a lot more than me and the average detailer that was using the products or using the foam or using, the materials and things like that. So that was a huge, part of my job, and a huge part of my personal and professional growth, over those 7 or 8 years. And during that time, we worked with a lot of different stuff. The buffing pad industry is relatively interesting, but but part of it is, we manufactured almost everything in-house at Lake Country. So we did a lot of private label custom product development for other brands that weren't, just into buffing pads themselves, but had polishing lines. So I would, part of my job was either developing foam or developing products that would work with certain types of liquids or abrasives and things like that. And so through that, I worked with, a ton of brands globally, met a lot of people, did a lot of different work with that. And that was part of how, Oberk started. Originally, it was Chris DiGiovanni and myself. Chris is he's got his business, the Detailer's Roadmap, or 8-Bit Creative. He does websites for detailers and does a lot of SEO and different marketing things for detailing specific businesses. And he had started it while I was at Lake Country. So I helped him on the technical side, essentially, just like I would any other customer developing products. Utilized some of the resources that I had to help, develop a good line of product for him. And then at a certain point, it just kind of made sense to, jump on board with Oberk for product development specifically. And took like a partnership role. So at that point, it made more sense for where I was at and what I wanted to do and grow more of a brand of detailing related products rather than just the buffing category or industry itself, like the buffing pad industry. I mean, there's limited things that you can do. So I always liked the marketing side of things and being able to do things outside of just a buffing pad specifically.
Yep. So you've been there from the inception of Oberk Car Care. Helping guide these products along the way.
Very cool.
That is very cool. Definitely indeed. And that brings us to our first kind of what came out for Oberk is the Oberk polishing system, cut, polish, and recently added sole. And boy, is this lineup just really out of the park. It's been getting 5-star reviews pretty much for 3 or 4 years now. And it took me a while to jump on board, but I finally got around to getting the system here in the cleaner studio. And man, I waited way too long to try it. That's for sure.
Thanks for giving it a shot.
Yeah,
it's I mean, that was kind of the basis for the brand was polishing abrasives specifically,
right?
Paint work, and when Chris was starting it and everything, one of the ideas that we had was based off of some education stuff that I did on developing in a book, is developing a value proposition and business models in a certain way in a flooded market, essentially. And one of the ways that we did it was by, essentially solving a problem, but doing it in a way that structured the whole product line, even though it was relatively basic and not, super high level. And one of the things I was the body shop guy. So when I got into the detail world, when I started reading into forums, whether that was Autopia or AutoGeek or any of that stuff years ago, it was just like a totally new world for me. So like I know how to use a rotary and I knew how to use waffle pads, 3M, the 3M system and stuff like that. But then I saw, essentially all these different colored pads and all these different things and people doing things that were much different than what I knew. So I just remember like the first time ordering pads and ordering stuff and just buying a bunch of different things and not exactly getting the result that I wanted. And it takes a little while before you kind of grasp those things, right? Like you tune your techniques or figure out what you're using and things have, refined themselves a little bit over the last decade, but still there's a learning curve to it. And what we did is we just decided to remove the guesswork and kind of simplify the process. Originally it was the two-step process, cut and finish. And as much as it seems, really basic, I think when we looked at all the other products on the market and what they offered, they all kind of started with something and then continued to grow so big that it became that confusing thing. And and I think as a detailer or even as a hobbyist, like once you really get it, you quickly forget how difficult and how confusing it was. So we just kind of focused on keeping it simple and removing the guesswork and trying to create a system that would finish out 9 out of 10 cars for a professional detailer and then like for an enthusiast, they're not necessarily, they don't have the eye necessarily that a detailer would see for the most part. So they would probably, feel successful, 10 out of 10
Exactly.
times. That
Yep.
type of knowing that there's always outliers and finicky paint and things like that, where you have to tweak your techniques, but just a basic, simple process.
Right. So for the, the perfect polisher, I call them, that's either getting paid enough to do that or just kind of, OCD about it and chase it. They can have up to 30 different pads, 30 different compounds and polishes, and they know, what combos to do and switch to this to that with hard or soft paint. But mostly for me, I'm looking for a good one step, and we're calling it a day and we're coating. So this system lines up perfectly with kind of like what I'm looking to do. And, like you say, remove the guesswork. So I think I've absolutely nailed it. I love it.
Thanks.
And I'm down with 3 pads, three liquids, and good to go.
Well, and it's cool to know, like, have the 30 pad thing and be fine tuned and understand that stuff when you need to. But I think that's where we all start. And then when you get into like the business side of things, there's a fine line between guys that are just getting paid. They own a job, and then guys that are making a lot of money. And I think part of that is just streamlining their process and standard operating procedures. You're never going to be able to get like all that technical data out of your brain of 30 different combinations and where you use these products and where you don't, and why you like this, to train employees and kind of create a structured business that's scalable. So that was another focus for us, and where we could add value is, you go to Mobile Tech, you go to SEMA. A lot of detailers have the same problems, whether they've overcome them or whatever, but we all experience the same stuff for the most part. And one of them is that, not every detailer that starts off is a great entrepreneur or business person, and you learn along the way, and you usually have a good technical skill, but maybe lack a little bit on managerial skills or something else to build the company to where it needs to be. And standard operating procedures is part of that. So we just kind of encompass those basic ideas into the products themselves, so that there's meaning to it, more than just like, here's a product, type of thing.
Yep. And I love that cut, for the cut system. You've just went straight to microfiber, didn't try and kind of fit a foam pad in there. Find the stiffer foam pads. I don't know, a little hard to work with or something. But I love a good microfiber cutting disc. Seems to get straight to the point there.
Yep.
There's certain places for cutting foams, but I think for the most part, the microfiber just outperforms foam for cutting, in most scenarios for a dual action polisher. And then, even we have a rotary wool pad, but, there's the only other place there is a DA wool pad that you might be able to slide in there. Some of the older single stage paints or just kind of off paint doesn't respond well to microfiber. So wool is always an alternative for that. But, usually if a paint doesn't respond well to microfiber, it doesn't usually respond well to foam either, just because it's usually an issue with friction. So like microfiber is not too far off from foam. Polyester, polyurethane, either way it's plastic, so usually if one doesn't react well with paint, and it either sticks to the paint really hard or causes issues or almost makes it look worse, it's typically the product itself or the friction itself of the plastics, or something like that, because the paint paint's plastic too.
I like a good cutting foam for glass. I find that's where the stiffer foams, I really use them at. Cutting through water spots. They do a good job there.
Yeah, and I think it's important for, like you touched on, David, with like the stickiness of like the foams and just the friction and all that. I think it's important for people to experience that to really understand it, because, I remember like when I first started getting into paint correction, you see all these different colored pads, and I thought they were just different colors. And then you dig a little bit deeper, and they're like, okay, they actually do different things. And then actually trying different pads on different surfaces, like vinyl wrap, for instance, and clear coat, and just seeing how it reacts differently. And it's really hard to explain to someone until you actually try it. I went to a training course too and tried it there, and it was pretty neat being able to try all kinds of different pads and different liquids and whatnot, and just experiencing that, because it's like I said, it's hard to explain it to someone without actually experiencing it firsthand.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, some people don't see the same types of cars, so they might see something that's outside of what their norm is, and it's a totally new experience. But like some of the old 80s cars, where they had kind of different paint on bumpers. A lot of times cars are painted differently, so like the bodies will be painted on an assembly line, bumpers, mirrors, plastic extra parts will be painted somewhere else. Sometimes they're not even in the same building, so if you look at a lot of cars, the paint doesn't match ever and things like that. But on some of those old 80s cars and things like that, like a Grand National, like the front has these panels that go in the front. They're always super sticky. So no matter what you do, you polish it, and it seems like the polish instantly is a glue to the panel. But if you switch it up and you use a wool pad, it's like a completely different experience. So I think same thing with some of the Vipers, but I'm kind of drawing a blank on all the different ones, but things like that. But yeah, friction is definitely a big factor when it comes to polishing, and I don't think it's something that most people think about. And I mean, hopefully they don't have to think about it. That's our goal, right? We just kind of simplify it so that you don't have to over complicate something. But yeah, there's always the instance where you have these outliers, and wool is usually the answer for that.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. I know one product that has stood out to me and Dewar, we've been talking about it for a few weeks now, is that of Soul. The one-step system has just you hit it out the park. Just absolutely awesome. Any other company would have did an all-in-one, threw some protection in there and probably less cut and called it a day. But y'all really absolutely knocked this out the park. I just corrected with Soul one step. It was someone left rotary trails, holograms, deeper swirling.
Yeah,
it was not a good buff job for me, but cleaned it up with Soul, real nice. Got some footage of it for TikTok and stuff, and I think Soul and the one yellow pad just knocks it out the park. So what went into developing Soul and figuring that out and kind of choosing not to put protection in it, that kind of route?
Well, I think part of it is, our two-step system is made in a way where our polish is pretty fine. It's not super aggressive. So if you're doing one steps, we've always traditionally had, kind of the yellow pad mixed with either cut or polish, depending on the color.
Polish, and that was the one step before Soul.
Yep. But when you get into darker colored vehicles, Oberk polish isn't super aggressive because it finishes down pretty well. So we wanted to have a product that didn't have any protection in it. The other thing is, I just think that there's huge opportunity. Most cars aren't black or have finicky paint. So having a little extra bite and being able to finish out on most paintwork of new vehicles is nice, just because I think it's super beneficial for the coating, either the coating companies or the brand, the detail companies that are doing a lot of new coating prep jobs, just because they can make sure that they get the random swirls out. It's still going to finish down really well. Doesn't have, a bunch of fillers or anything like that, where it's easy to prep and coat and be on your way.
Yep. Going back to that body shop experience.
Yep. Yeah, I was
see how that helped a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and when you use it, the product, it's different than both of the other products. Like to be honest with you, it's probably dustier than the other two, even the cut. And I think part of it is just the way that you use it is a little bit differently. Like, for me, I'll long cycle Soul, I'll cycle that a little bit longer than I do with cut or with polish, because as it cycles down, especially with a little bit of a heavier down pressure, that's really where you can get a super good finish and still get really good correction results. And it just kind of, it works really well on so many systems. But because of that, when you cycle a little bit longer, pad dries out a little bit more, it starts to dust because it just dries out.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely was drying out for me pretty fast, but I was, polishing in, that 110 degree weather I was telling you about.
You're
Yep.
basically in and out at that point.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
brutal.
I was still getting about 5 cycles, I'd say 4 or 5, and then I'd call it a day.
Every product that Jamie uses is probably like 105 to me.
Yeah, like, he's the maximum threshold heat tester.
Oh, that's for sure.
A lot of sticky wipe offs. Yep. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I get a lot of people still, asking what I do, and they'll ask for, the buff job. I want a buff job. Soul is now gonna be my buff job. One-step system for those people. But all right, Bucky, got anything for the cutting system before we move on?
Yeah, I want to kind of deplete my inventory of compounds and polishes right now before I get into cut and polish. But I've seen so many positive things with cut and polish that it's certainly something to get eventually. But yeah, Soul just knocks out of the park. Like I did a friend of mine, his mom's Beetle. It was 2012 or 13, and like. That Volkswagen paint I found pretty hard. That just cut through it like nothing, and it worked so well. And I was a big fan. But it was so quick. Like it just. And I mean, she wasn't going for 100% perfect, but it's probably 80-90% or so, which was perfect to some people, to me included. And yeah, it was so good. I didn't notice any dusting because I don't work in an oven like Jamie does. But I had a good time with it. So I'm looking forward to cutting polish. But yeah, I've seen a lot of positive things about it too.
I totally understand about depleting products. I mean, I'm going through the same thing, because I still detail. I probably do, I don't know, maybe 2 to 4 cars a month, and I was doing something out at one of the custom car builders that I work at, and he sees me bringing a whole box of all these different polishes and all these different pads, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, you sell me this stuff and then you're using all these other brands? And I was like, dude, I got so much stuff that like I just have to use it. Like I'm just trying to burn through this stuff, because it's not stuff that I can like sell or like even give away. Just kind of seems weird, especially because I work for a brand. Like, here I have like all this stuff. Who wants it? So I'm just trying to use it up and kind of burn through it. And a lot of the stuff that I can't even use for our training. We try to streamline, just like we do with our system. We try to streamline the trainings. Like even when we're using different brands, like we trained with Car Pro products, and we trained with Sonax products, and we trained with Meguiar's products. Like everything. But we try to like streamline it. Like so, Meguiar says like 15 different polishes, and like so we'll bring 2 or 3 and be like, all right, this is what we would do if we were using this. Like I don't even want to use it for trainings. We try to do the same thing for that. So yeah, I'm just like, I'm trying to burn through like tons of different pads and tons of different polishes, because I just can't justify throwing it away.
Yep, I have a whole cabinet that's up here, just full of compounds and polishes. I bet half of them aren't even any good. They're probably dried up. So I really need to go through my cabinet, sweep them all out. I'm just going to put Oberk system up there. So let's move on to the next system y'all got, is the Oberk wheel and tire cleaning system. I think this is another home run from Oberk. Y'all took y'all's time with it and absolutely nailed it. Got the wheel cleaner. It's iron remover. It's got some surfactants in it that helps it out as well, makes it really thick. Got the tire cleaner, another thick gel-like tire cleaner that has some multiple extra uses. Waterless, you can do it with. Low pH, I love them. Tell us a little bit what went into developing and why y'all kept kept going with the product line past the polishing system.
Well, I think the polishing system is pretty solid. We launched Soul, which was obviously a little bit later than even some of these products, but we have our polishing system kind of down. Want to get into more products, because I'm on top of being a detailer, I'm a car enthusiast too. So between removing the guesswork and kind of the idea of our product vision for Oberk is, professional grade products, high quality products, but trying to simplify the process so that it's easy to get good results regardless of who you are. And I think there's a place for everybody. There's a place for like multi-purpose products and concentrated products. I think a lot of people like that stuff. There's a lot of people that would rather have ready to use things. And so you can't meet everybody's needs in that aspect. You're kind of one or the other. And because we want to remove the guesswork or streamline it, we chose to make products specifically for certain purposes. So like,
sure.
The tire cleaner itself is not similar, or it's not far off, or it's very similar to, so all-purpose cleaners. Just we focused on rubber and tire specific when we developed the product. So like technically the tire cleaning product can be used for so many different things. I mean, you can use it straight on an interior for the most part. It's alkaline, but it's not very alkaline. It's relatively neutral, or relatively low, where it's not going to damage anything. But I mean, you can cut it 50-50 and use it on interiors. I use it a ton on floor mats, like WeatherTech floor mats and stuff like that. It works killer on floor mats.
I think I'll try that out today.
Yeah, it works super, super good. Works good on engine bays. Works really good on wheel wells. Like the iron removing wheel cleaners, like Oberk wheel cleaner is, probably the newer technology when it comes to wheel cleaner, but those chemicals do brown tires. So you can utilize the tire cleaner for wheel cleaning too, in between, your iron remover.
Right.
Iron removers aren't the most inexpensive product either. So
no.
I don't on my car when I'm doing, regular cleanups, I don't use it every single time. I'll just use an APC or Oberk tire cleaner, something like that. So the tire cleaner is super versatile. Both products are kind of a clinging product, a little bit thicker. Just try to utilize something, like I said, we're using it for a specific purpose. So clinging on vertical surfaces like wheels and tires is kind of where it's at. And then, if you're going to dilute it and run it on an interior, it's pretty thin at that point anyway.
Yeah, I found a good use for it too is, after you're done pretty much with the wash, and then you pull it in, the little section you might miss on the tire, you can just waterless with the Oberk tire cleaner and good to go. Some people get, blocks put under tires, raise it up a little bit, or move the car. I'm going to start doing waterless style.
I use it a lot waterless. Like, I mean, it works great. That was the other thing too. Obviously, the wheel cleaner you can't use.
Can't use that one waterless. Yep.
But the tire cleaner, if you're using it for tires, it works good, super good, waterlessly. I just spray it on a tire. If it's super bad, I'll scrub it, but otherwise I just spray it on and just
wipe off,
and it looks super good. And obviously, water restrictions are pretty important for everybody on the West Coast. And the wheel cleaner, we might actually come out with another iron remover specifically. That's more of like a thinner formula.
Right.
Very nice.
But
for paint decon, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just trying to come out with products that work. And one of the main reasons we just ask why. Why do we want to develop it? Why does somebody want to buy it? And I think for our wheel cleaner, we did it because I think there's not really too many wheel cleaners that kind of bridge the gap between the iron remover and like a lot of iron removers are killer. I mean, some of them might be even a little bit more potent than ours, but they clean iron really well, but they might not clean the other road grind very well. So we just try to do something a little bit different. Try to, get the best of both worlds. Try to grab something from the traditional type of wheel cleaner and but still have it have the iron removing technology, those capabilities, and still keep it on a pH neutral level. So. The tire cleaner is alkaline, it's like at a 9.5. The wheel cleaner is neutral, but either way, they're both pretty safe products.
But for the wheel cleaner, you can definitely still use it as an iron decon. I spray directly into the clay towel and then spread it kind of around, and then I get the clay in. Works great.
Yep. Yeah.
Good stuff there if anybody was wondering. And you actually save kind of on iron remover because you're using less, you're spraying on the clay towel and kind of using the clay towel to do the spreading instead of just kind of spraying iron remover all over the place.
Letting it
And
run
it
away.
smells pretty good too compared to old school iron remover. So
that's what I was gonna
much
say. The
improved.
smell's not nearly as bad, but yeah, I mean
Mhm.
the bleeding shots, so to speak, are pretty cool. But from an efficiency standpoint, yeah, if you're just claying and spraying on the towel, you can make it go a long way.
Yeah. For sure.
Yep. So there's the wheel and tire cleaning system. Excellent stuff. Let's go on to the always out of stock defense gel. I've actually got around to using it this week. I've luckily had a bottle in my cabinet that's been moving all around my cabinet, all over the studio for about 4 months now. So I'm lucky to have one. I finally got to use it this week. Pumped out a video for it. I called it the perfect practice coating. If you're not in full ceramic coatings yet, but you're wanting to kind of practice, get the motions down, get what you're looking for down as a defense gel sweats, kind of the perfect entry-level practice coating. Oberk defense gel. So what went into developing defense gel?
So that was, kind of the same thing like all the other products, is just trying to figure out where we kind of fit into the equation and how we can make a product. We're, not really focused or haven't been focused on, professional ceramics. We got relationships with other companies. Plus it's just, we're mainly in the abrasives and things like that. But being that we polish paint, we obviously want to protect it too. So we want to offer something, and defense gel was like, essentially defense gel is similar to like a spray on wipe off silica products, like a hydro or a C2V3 or something like that, except a lot of those products are used for top coats, and they're water based. Ours was,
and they streak.
Yeah, and that was where we were at with it, is that it wasn't as easy of an application in terms of like the idea, spray it on and wipe it off, but it was something that if you don't do methodical like a coating, you can whip it on and whip it off really fast. It's really easy to use. You can be in 117 degree weather and not get a high spot that you have to polish off, and not have to work in 6-inch squares or something. So it was just, outside of like your climate, there's places around the world where they just don't have the ability to control their climate, whether they're outside or they're just, their shops or facilities don't have the ability to cool down at all. And so we just wanted something that was easy to use, lasted 3 to 6 months, still had really good water characteristics, but we've just had problems with it. I mean, we ran into raw material issues during COVID, and ultimately we still haven't been able to get a solid supply chain down for the silica that we used when we initially made it. We've tried to reformulate it with silica from other suppliers, and it hasn't been able to perform the same as the first version and the first batch that we had developed. So we're kind of at a standstill with it. We're still kind of holding on and hoping that we can bring that product to light. But at this point, we still don't have a date when it's going to be back in stock. It's been out a lot, and we're hoping that we can kind of bring it back. But it's just,
I hope it comes back, because it's excellent. Buttery smooth wipe off, super slick. And going back to the the weather, all the SiO2 water-based spray sealants streak like crazy. It's a reason why I'm a big bead maker guy. Just seems like that's the products I gravitate to, are products that less streaking, great on glass. Defense gel is not great for glass, right?
No,
but you know what I'm saying. The sprays, but defense gel, no problems. Went right on, went right off. Waited for it to sweat about a minute. I didn't get a full 2 minutes, but start sweating pretty good about a minute here, and wiped right off, buttery smooth. So great stuff from Oberk defense gel in my book. Bucky, you used defense gel yet, or is it not up there in Canada yet?
I have not used defense gel yet, but heard a lot of good things about it though from the people who have used it.
Now we finally have some resellers, some distributors up there. So
yep,
nice.
Yeah,
That's
I've
definitely
seen a few.
question.
I had a guy message me the other day saying like, man, I wish Solo's in Canada. And I sent him a link. I'm like, oh, there it is. And I'm like,
Yep.
I sent him a link. I'm like, here it is. It's already here. You can get it. So
Yeah, we've got a couple good ones. So
yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, that answers that.
Yeah.
And well, since we don't have defense jail, mystery is out for defense jail. But the future of Oberk Car Care, we have some new products coming out. I saw on the recent episode of Chicago Auto Pros had some sneak peeks, and boy, was I excited! We got an instant defense gel coming. So tell us a little about that, and when can we anticipate this new product?
Yeah, so we have instant defense, which is spray on rinse off sealant.
I love those too. Okay. Those work pretty good.
Yeah, and I think we're for the marketing side of it, I think we're going to market it more for like wheel care.
Right. Yep. That's mostly what I'll use that stuff for. But it works great.
So for us, we're not a coating company. We're not trying to do that thing like I said before, but we wanted to do a car care. So originally when we launched Defense Gel, that was kind of the base of so it's not a water base. It is an oil base, and but it's a short-term product, super slick, really glossy. But the idea was that we were going to build an easy to use maintenance program for, detail shops if they wanted to use it, but also, target more of the enthusiasts that enjoy working on their car as well, where you can lay down Defense Gel. You don't have to be a detailer or a rocket scientist to do it. You can maintain it with either our spray sealant, which would be the instant defense, where we have two different products. We have like a quick defense, which is like a quick detailer with a low silica, and you would be able to maintain it and wipe it down with that. You could do your wash with a pH neutral soap, and then use the spray on rinse off instant defense as well to like constantly maintain those products. If you didn't want to do the prep process and everything to do ceramic and do it the right way, like you could easily get the same characteristics and similar type of a protection and just use it in your regimen for your products like that. So
nice.
And we at one point we're looking at ceramic soap and stuff like that, but just had so many other things to work on for the system and everything that we just never got to it yet. So so instant defense is going to be like a silica concentrate, spray it on single panel at a time, rinse it off, lasts 3 to 6 months. But that that is a water base. So we formulated one that doesn't streak very much unless you over concentrate it. So it beads well, it doesn't streak really bad. And that's similar to, the topper or whatever. So like, even though our Defense Gel is a solvent or oil base, then you just top it with either the quick detailer or whatever during your regular maintenance. You don't have to do it right away. Yeah. And then that's your continued protection of product on top that will protect against like the organic product or, the organic fallout of the environment, stuff like that.
Yep. So you coat your paint in Defense Gel. Maybe next wash, get the glass and wheels all coated up with instant defense.
Yeah, pretty much. Easy, so easy, kind of like a regiment type of a product. If you weren't going the professional ceramic route,
Right.
I think like in the real near future, we've got the instant defense. We've got a foam wash. That's a pH neutral foam soap, which is just a good lubricated generalized foam soap, great for washing waxed, sealed cars, products with Defense Gel on them, stuff like that. And then we have a rinseless wash, quick detailer concentrate.
What was the one soap that y'all actually used in the video where you actually used it touchless style? Yeah, I think it's plant-based.
Yep, that's the
APS. Looky there! Wow, that's a nice label.
This one should be available in the next couple of weeks. This is a prep soap. It is a stripping soap, essentially. But it's super good for coated cars too. I mean, obviously, most coating manufacturers say that you should use a pH neutral soap, stuff like that. But really, the advantages of them are that you can wash them with a alkaline wash or something like that, and it's still gonna stay on the car. So, you know, this is at a concentrate. It's a 9.5. It's plant based. It came from the original formula that we started with came from the truck washing industry.
Nice.
And obviously, washing trucks is difficult. You can't wash a whole truck at the same time. You got a bunch of challenges. So, it's relatively strong. It's made to attack calcium road salt deposits for, you know, northern states. Anybody that's got snow.
Yeah, for that.
But at the same time, yeah, it's a unique feeling. It doesn't have salt in it, so it's not like a thicker gelatinous product. It's really thin, you know, like any other cleaner. But it's very, very slippery. It has a wetting agent in it that helps for, you know, mobile detailers or detailers outside to help keep the wash wetter longer. Obviously, when you're battling a mobile detailer or you're battling the sun, you don't want to let the stuff bake on or anything like that. But it's got wetting agents in it to help it stay wetter longer and try to rinse off and not stain the paint as much, you know. So it's not something that we necessarily recommend, you know, washing in the sun, but we know that people do it. We know that people have to do it. Sometimes pH neutral washes just don't cut it, you know, and so this is kind of a cool new product that I'm excited to launch.
Sure.
But yeah, this will be the next one. So
nice.
this one,
looking forward to that.
Yeah, and then a different take on like a glass cleaner.
So
we're pretty much focusing on, you know, the exterior panels, all the things that you'd want to do prior to the correction process, and then, you know, after it.
Yeah, I like using a stronger soap on ceramic coated cars. It just makes sense to me that you want to deep clean that coating, get it back to performing.
Yep.
And you know, if it doesn't look like it's performing well, something needs to be done, you know, on that panel or in that area to get it back to going. But I like using a good strong soap on coatings. But all right, chat, you can drop some questions for Mr. Patterson. Got some locked and loaded. Buck, you got anything real quick before we move on?
No, I think that soap for that salt belt area is going to be really good, because I don't, you know of a ton of products that are really focused at that. But if you can really take advantage of that, then that's wonderful. I know with us, they kind of throw down a bunch of gravel, and then that's their traction for snow. But we don't use a ton of salt here. But I know Rick, they use some kind of concoction that just is nasty. You know, it's kind of like a mag chloride kind of thing. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to that. It should be exciting.
You can cut it down too and put it in like an IK foamer, and use it for bug remover too. It's really good for.
Jamie loves bugs
because it's organic. It's an organic product, so it eats up bugs pretty good. So I mean, the soap itself works well, but you can also foam it on and eat it off. And, you know, it just kind of falls apart. It is. See the question there. It's it doesn't really smell like anything.
And the pH neutral one will have a scent.
The pH neutral one smells like strawberry.
Nice.
Ooh, delicious.
Glad to see something besides cherry. I feel like every other company pumps out a cherry soap. So we already answered here, detailed, Dad. When will soap come to Canada? It's in Canada already.
We got
the link. So hit up Bucky. He'll send you a link. Promo code.
Otherwise, you can check out our on our website that we have a distributors page. It says all the distributors that we got for.
Got a couple from JZSTR here. He's wanting to know if Oberk products will pop up on AutoAlity.
You know, as of right now, no. I haven't talked to T or the guys over there. I think there was. I think at one point they wanted to carry the brand when it was a little bit newer, and I think it was at the time that the growth of the company was just going too fast, and it was just something that they weren't capable of doing at the time. Just taking on more and more wholesale distributors, but it might be something to revisit. And but right now, no.
Yeah.
Unless I reach out and make a call and see.
He also asked, what panel prep does Oberk recommend before defense jail? Pretty good question.
Good question.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think any of them work well for the most part. Whether you're a diluted panel wipe guy or you're a eraser guy or whatever. I mean, to be honest with you, I use a lot of denatured alcohol myself, just because it works well. It's burning fuel, but it's strong and it has got a really nice flash. So like you can wipe and it'll flash behind you without really leaving any residue for the most part, as long as you're using clean towels. So yeah, anything, isopropyl alcohol, like some people do, or any of those, anything that's going to clean the paint, whether it's alcohol based or even, cleaner based ones. I think either one of them is going to provide a clean enough surface for it to bond to.
Yep. And those questions were sent in to me on Instagram. So if anybody listening ever can't make the live, has a question though for a certain company, send it in over on Instagram. I'll pop it up. Mike's Auto Detailing wants to know if you offer a wholesale pricing, asking for a friend. What's he doing over there?
That friend is himself, and Mike has a problem. Mike has too much stuff. He needs the stuff.
Yeah. We planned on doing some type of a wholesale program. We haven't really kind of gone through and developed that yet, to be honest with you. But we do work with, depending on who it is, we work with different training programs or different, certain individuals for that type of thing. And otherwise we do a VIP text program. And then we do obviously email, everybody that signs up for email stuff. But I'm not super active with the text stuff. But when we do text offers, we genuinely offer, exclusive deals to our text VIP club, just because it's a smaller group for one and it's growing. But I don't think everybody loves to get text messages with ads or, coupons and stuff like that. And so
Mike's going to be all over that.
Yeah, right. We try to make it worthwhile. So like, so a lot of the text program stuff we do. Yeah, but yeah, we do offer some different stuff.
Chacho Grande asked, first off, big fan here. Now the important part, what do I have to do to make you guys do another batch of the black gloss of good fortune shirt, not opposed to a bribe or charitable donation?
That was a pretty cool shirt. All the shirts that we've done are kind of neat. We usually work with different artists, actually. So like we'll find people on either Instagram that are doing illustrations or art, or guys that are doing hand art and converting to illustrations and do stuff like that. So like, I hope that we can do another one. I like that shirt myself because I'm a Japanese car guy. So like, and I just like the idea of how it kind of came out. But hopefully we'll do another one. We'll probably do it a little bit different. Maybe with the cat on it, but slightly different because we usually just do one run. Try to do single runs of shirts like that.
Sure.
But we have another one in the works.
Nice.
We've never done a traditional like logo shirt before, like just kind of a staple kind of a logo shirt. So I'm working with I'm working with a company in California and Thailand to kind of create something that's a little bit nicer, heavier shirt, something that's super quality, and then I'll jump back into kind of the art shirts again.
Yeah, because I love the banner. Banner is just nice. Just the logo looks clean, nice. A shirt of that would be excellent. I would definitely rock that.
Well, when I saw black, that's what I figured they were going to say. When are you going to do black banners again? Because that's what we get all the time. The black ones that we did are a little bit bigger, and people. But that's the thing. People want them after they're not full. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we do that stuff, not necessarily as like this marketing like ploy, but it's just like, people always want it when it's too late, and it's like, oh well, it's one time, you either get it or you don't. Like,
yeah.
tell you.
Well, I think we did it, boys. Another good episode. Mr. Patterson, it was an absolute pleasure having you on today's episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Covered it all. If there's any last-minute things you want to cover or say, go ahead and say and start dropping your plugs, and we'll get you out of here.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And thanks for the posts and stuff. I appreciate the support. You can check us out, oberkcarcare.com, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Oberk Car Care. Got any suggestions or you want to need to reach out to me, you can catch me at dave@oberkcarcare.com or info@oberkcarcare.com. It's probably easier for the info one. And
perfect.
Yeah.
Bucky, got any last minute thoughts?
No, I think just I'm excited for these new upcoming products and to deplete my stock and get my hands on cut and polish. So, just need more correction jobs. That's what I need.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I love the direction we're going, and like the shirt designs. I mean, working with the artists, I think that's super cool. I have one of the stickers. I think it's that Good Fortune sticker, and it's super neat. But I just keep doing what you guys are doing, and I like the direction it's going.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate the support.
Yeah, you bet.
Yep. There you go. Like I said, it was an absolute pleasure having you on. I enjoyed it. We learned a lot. Talked through the system, and that's all I got. Follow Dewar at BuckyVW. Follow me at Jamie the Cleaner on all the things. Give us a listen. Tomorrow, this episode will be uploaded on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Give us that subscribe, rate, and review. 5 stars. Push us up the charts, and we'll keep pumping these out and have Mr. Patterson in the future. Once, Oberk will have a whole line of stuff in a year or so. So we'll have to have you back on and recap them again.
Yeah.
So, that's all I got. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Bye, everybody.